Hi, everyone, and welcome to Immerse Yourself. I want to thank everyone who is joining us here in person and who is joining us virtually over Zoom. My name's Julia. I am the Community Relations Specialist here at the History of Diving Museum, and this is Rob. He'll be giving our presentation tonight. First, I'm going to tell you a little bit about our presentation. First, I would like to thank this month's sponsor, the Surgery Center, and I'd also like to tell you about some cool upcoming events we have here at the Diving Museum. So from now until the end of the year, December 31st, we have, of course, our special exhibit, Salvaging the Deep. It's all about deep water salvage, shipwrecks, those kinds of things, how we got there, how we retrieved them. And it is closing December 31st. So if you haven't gotten the chance to see it, I definitely recommend checking it out. Next month on December 7th, we are having our monthly guided tours. December 7th is going to be our Pearl Harbor commemorative tours. That's going to be December 7th. It's going to have a special highlight of U.S. Navy divers and the work they did during the salvage operation of Pearl Harbor. Those are going to be at 11 o'clock and 2 o'clock on Saturday, December 7th. Another fun thing we have going on in December is on the 18th. So in addition to next month's Immerse Yourself, which is going to be with Elena Muratori of the Florida Park Services, she's going to tell us the story of the Christ of the Deep statue in Key Largo. And how it got there, its story, its history. It's going to be really interesting. So definitely come in for next month's Immerse Yourself on the 18th. Before Immerse Yourself, from 5:30 to 7 on that day, we're having Merry Dive Miss, which is our new Christmas event that we're doing. So it's going to be cookie decorating, ornament making for the kids, photos with Santa, and there's also going to be a snow cone truck here as well. So come join us for some Christmas fun there on the 18th. As I said before, next month's Immerse Yourself is going to be about the Christ of the Deep as well. So very fitting for the month of December. For November, we have Rob Dixon here. He is a lighthouse preservationist and executive director of Friends of the Pool Incorporated, which manages Alligator Reef Lighthouse, that iconic Islamorada landmark that we all enjoy looking out at the water and seeing. So without further ado, I'm going to pass things over to Rob. He's going to tell you the story of the lighthouse and what is being done to preserve it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I wasn't looking to become the executive director of a lighthouse. Everybody, when they asked who wanted to do it, everybody else sat down, and I forgot. And here I am. So my history, briefly, I'm from Wellington, Delaware. I was a design draftsman, didn't like sitting at a desk, and came to the Keys to visit a friend several times. And he knows him, John Allen, a good buddy from Bud Mary's many years ago. And I said, I really like this place. And I really love the water. I got my scuba certification and saw the lighthouse for the first time. And like, man, they got it all going. I got to get out of Delaware. And after 4 trips, I ended up finding John calls and said, there's a guy that's looking to hire a new charter boat captain or a mate. And I said, well, I don't know that kind of fishing, but I love to fish. And he said, well, you can learn. He pays people and they don't show up the next day. And I said, I could show up. So that's what that's was the beginning of my career. And I'm still fishing. I run a private 52 Viking Challenger in Venetian Shores for a great guy. And we fish usually 7,500 days throughout the year, but chartered for many, many years out of Whale Harbor, knew all the guys. And Alligator Lighthouse, see it every day, and I know how important it is, and it's just a great way to, like we say, it's our Statue of Liberty, and for me to get to drive by that every day, it just does my heart good. Also, I like the lighthouse, but I wasn't probably the biggest lighthouse lover on the island. That's a fellow I met later on. I don't know if you know Lighthouse Larry Hurl. A lot of people might know him, you may not, but he built the lighthouse at Cayo, the big, I forget, 20, he's on the Zoom, so he'll be filling in some of the blanks here for me. But he built the ones down at Marathon. He builds them to exact replicas, and they're stunning, and they're people's backyards. It's a really artistic thing. He does a lot of other things as well, but it's just, he said when he was a little kid, he used to crawl on the bottom of this little lighthouse that was at the end of the street and hide out there. So I became attached because Larry and I got to be best friends and really have become and continue to become closer all the time, even though he's now living up in St. Augustine, but he's still a part of our project. So without further ado, I guess we could start to move through our slides here a little bit. this is, let me see, I'll click here, I can tap on it, she said, look at that. There's Lighthouse Larry, he doesn't even look good in that hat. I couldn't pull it off, so I let him wear it. But, this is a video that, nope, this is not the video, that's the next slide, I'm sorry. But, this is what it looks like from the top. And I don't know how many of you have been there. I know we're not supposed to be up there. A lot of people say, oh, I knew you weren't supposed to, but I went up there years ago. It's a little scary getting up to the top now, and I'll show you a photo later that'll illustrate that. But it's been out there for 151 years, and I think it deserves our love and our respect. As I said, it's our Statue of Liberty, and there's not really anybody that has any great background in repairing, restoring lighthouses, but I said as a community, we'll all figure it out together, because it's like the old commercial. Most of us are old enough to be a part of it. But most things now, especially now politically, it's 50-50. I hate it, then I love it. I love it, then I hate it. So it's just nice to be a part of a project that everybody's on board with. There's like the old commercial, nobody doesn't like Sarah Lee. So this is our Sarah Lee, right? And that's what I feel. And I feel blessed and very lucky to be a part of this project and to have been chosen or not sat down when I could have not been an executive director. But we started with a swim and raising awareness, and now we're here. So we'll go through a little bit of that.
They're savable now. I don't know how much longer, 5, 10 more years, that they will be to a point of no return. You know, the earth is a living creature in a sense. If they fall, they're going to damage the corals. That's where my panic is. If they're repaired, they're saved. The corals are saved. These 6 lighthouses, what they did for America, these are a major part of our maritime history in America, not just the Keys. I've been here 56 years. I love driving to Key West. I mean, I enjoy it. It's beautiful. That road was here because of these lighthouses. Before the lighthouses were made or installed, there was no road. There was no train track, nothing. You had to sail to Key West. You know, in 1803, when the Louisiana land purchase went through, one of the first congressmen, Uzziah Thomas, his ships and his cargo, and a lot of people, they were wrecking upon the reefs. So, and I mean, an incredible amount of them were wrecking on the reefs. No one knew how to navigate them. They formed a lighthouse organization committee, government committee, the lighthouse, and they started putting them all in. The last one was actually put in 1880, and once that happened, the Congress said, you know, it is safe now. They deemed Key West the port of entry. It made Key West the richest town in America. It's because of these lighthouses that happened. And I truly think solely because of these lighthouses, making it safe enough that Key West became a port of entry. They're no longer beacons of light. The Coast Guard now have cut them off, which is a sad, sad thing. And I told people for 5 years that this was going to happen. Yes, for 1 million, somewhere, you know, north of 1 million, we could stabilize and repair, do a lot of repairs on them to maintain them. You know, I'd like to see them in all their glory. It's just, You know, that's my dream, be it a far-fetched, you know, dream, but you know, that's why I play mega bucks. If I win $100 million, you know, we have to give money away. I will restore them. My stepfather was a lobster fisherman, so I'd go out with him in the summers, help pull traps and things. All my life, I grew up around Careysport Lighthouse, which is off of North Key Largo, which is the oldest offshore iron lighthouse in America. Never really gave it a lot of thought other than, well, that's pretty cool looking, or we would be down off of Islamorada and looking at the beauty of Alligator Lighthouse, which is, it's an incredible structure, pure white. It really stands out as something beautiful. And you just don't, you know, you take things for granted where you live, something especially that you've seen all your life growing up. You know, when you snorkel around these lighthouses, they were there for a reason, because it's usually an incredible, sensitive, and beautiful place that lighthouse was intended and put there to protect. A couple of square miles around it is the most pure white sand in gin clear water in the United States. It is stunning. I mean, people jump in and you'll see them just, they're not moving. They're like stunned. They're just, it's so beautiful. And you have little rays, you know, skirting across the ripples in the sand. And then you snorkel over towards the lighthouse. And this is all of these lighthouses. That structure, you don't feel so exposed that if the lighthouse wasn't there, you're just out 4.5 miles out in open water. All of a sudden, you know, am I fish food? You know, I feel like a bobber out there, you know. At the lighthouse, you know, the birds, the frigate birds and you know, the fish, the millions of glass minnow or mahua, they call glass minnow, pilcher, small fish, angelfish, barracuda. Oh my God, the ecosystem under each one of these is mind-blowing. I mean, because that, you take open water, all 6 of these, just open water, and you stick a structure that casts a shadow the size of these 50 feet across, and man, it is not only a central location for underwater life, but Keys life. Very few locals on 4th of July and New Year's and Christmas, and if you take any day off from school or any vacation, and if it is a nice day, no one's at home. No one's in the Keys at home on Christmas Day. They've opened all their, you know, crap up, and they're on the boat, and they're out drinking some beers and telling everyone what they got at Alligator Lighthouse, or, you know, at Sombrero Lighthouse or Sand Key, and, you know, it's a part of our life. It's our blood. It's you know, they run through our veins. It's emotional. I guess how something this insignificant to some people can be incredibly significant to others, and you know, so they need to be saved.
There we go. And I used to be a draftsman, although I didn't draw this because that was done in, I think, 70.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this is like one of the original drawings. We can you can look them up in the archives, and there's the original set of plans. Thank you for Alligator Lighthouse, and it's pretty spectacular. So let me get to my next. So then Larry decided maybe I have to make a statement, and he said, "I love to swim. And maybe if I swim to the lighthouse, the government will change their mind." We got with Andy Newman, it was big with the TDC, and he covered it. And Larry swam out there on this beautiful August day to create an awareness and let the world know that these need to be saved. And maybe that he was thinking the government was going to jump back in, but Larry doesn't know government too well. We all know, we kind of knew it was going to happen, but they didn't, jump back in with 1 foot or both feet. And we decided it was up to us. And we find out a little ways down the road, there might be an opportunity for us to get a lighthouse. And so we're going to get back and go back a step. He did the swim, went amazing. All the media went coast to coast, all kinds of big newspapers. We decided we were going to make an event, a yearly event out of it. And so that's our Swim for Alligator Lighthouse. And Larry and I used to kind of race. We both be back and forth jogging. We dig at each other. Whoever won that year was kind of back and forth every year. But then Larry had a rotator cuff issue. He ended up getting that fixed because he was my kayaker 1 year. So we're more brothers than we are competitors, and just great friends. So I do have to mention, since Larry can't talk on this yet, we're not unmuting him yet. But we ended up. I'm the only one that swam the event since 2013. We missed Irma and we missed the COVID year, but I've done it solo every year. So it's an 8-mile swim, and I'm going to keep doing it until I can. I'm 64, but it's a great way. They time me with a calendar, by the way. They don't use a clock. Anyway, but we've had a lot of fun with it. We still raise some money for our charity with the swim and awareness. I think bring people typically from 35 states. We've had people come as far as from Australia, Great Britain, all little nooks and crannies of the world. And it's a bucket list item for a lot of people, but we're right immersed in it. So I get to do it every year. Mm-hmm. Did that. Here we go. So yeah, we made the papers. We started talking about the possibility of being involved with the restoration effort. So we waited for many years, and they said, okay, now you have an opportunity to put the application in. So I worked with a good friend of mine who was very good at putting these types of things together, because it was we both put about 500 or 600 hours in putting this application together. And she's very good. She knows what they're supposed to look like, the pages, the attachments, the appendixes, and all that. I'm not, but I did the best I could working on the computer at home, helping her out, supplying her with information. And at the end of it, we had to mail, had to be digital, plus we had to mail 2 copies to the Department of Interior, and the 2 copies of our application weighed 7.8 pounds. So it was like that much paper. They wanted a lot. And then they came back at us a year later and wanted some more items to be filled in. So we had to, because your application is your contract. So you understand that this is the type of windows that are in here. This is that. So they had to guide you to say yes or no or provide information. So it was quite a process. Then we get to our swim, which I think it was 2021, and we're getting ready to have the swim. It was several days before, and I run my private boat. We swim every morning, so I get to the boat, and I couldn't take one more thing on my plate. I said, I've got all these things to do for the swim, plus I'm training for it, plus this, that. The whole crew's coming in to run the swim for 300 to 400 people. And I said, I can't take anything else on my plate. I was ready to fall over. And I opened up my email on the boat. It's going to take a little breather. It says, congratulations, you've got a lighthouse. So I said, I got to get a bigger plate. So we got a bigger plate, and we've got a lot of help. Everybody's on board to help in the community. And I think before it's all over, everyone will have, a piece in having the restoration effort complete, because it's going to take a few years and a lot of fun. So there's There. That's me signing the deed over. So that was an interesting story. I was told by the Department of Interior that the deed was on the way. And this was right before Christmas. I think it was, Christmas Eve. And I'm like, what a great Christmas present. It should be here tomorrow. Like, this is wonderful. And it didn't show up. And it was like the most important piece of mail that I think I'm probably ever going to get. You're going to get a lighthouse deed for a lighthouse. It didn't show up. And so UPS back and forth. And I went in. Of course, they don't have anything going on Christmas Eve. They were like crazy. But there's a lady in there that said, oh, it looks like here's a video or a satellite picture. It got delivered a street over. So it got delivered to the wrong house, block over. So, and the cat sitter had it. So the cat sitter had our, finally, through some phone calls, we ended up getting the deed. I never was so happy to see a cat sitter in my life. So it was a process, and we have some great stories with it. So next, which one do we have? That one looks blank. I'm not sure what happened.
American lighthouses are symbols of the coastal communities they've served for centuries. So what happens when they're no longer needed and left to fall apart? That's what happened in a small village of about 6,000 people in the Florida Keys. Some people in Islamorada are rallying behind a crumbling lighthouse. They say it's worth saving. Manuel Bajarcas traveled to the Keys to meet the people throwing a lifeline to an aging icon.
4 miles off the coast of Islamorada, rising 136 feet above the Aqua Sea, stands Alligator Reef Lighthouse, a fixture on the horizon here for more than a century. It's a beloved symbol of this community. On the village seal, postcards, t-shirts, souvenirs, even hanging over your head at the local diner. Replicas, both small and big.
This is a 14-foot replica of Alligator Lighthouse that I built.
Local artist Larry Hurlth is perhaps its biggest fan. His sculptures around town made in honor of the offshore icon.
You know, growing up here all my life, I kind of always took it for granted.
Until one day, about a decade ago, when a boat ride to the lighthouse changed everything.
For really the first time in my life, I truly and depthly looked at this thing. Everything was rusted through, and that's the first time I realized, what, condition the lighthouse was in. The thought of losing it was, quite, scary at that point, because what it means to us.
Built just after the Civil War, it had shined its light since 1873, guiding countless ships and lives away from danger. But for Larry, its meaning goes deeper.
My mother and my brother, their ashes are sprinkled there.
You decided that's where your mother and brother would rest?
Yes, and that's where I will.
Saving Alligator Light became Larry Hurlth's mission, but it was in the government's hands.
And out of frustration, I just thought one day, I'm going to swim to Alligator Lighthouse and see if that can drum up some type of attention,
and
which it certainly did.
8 miles round trip. The publicity stunt in 2012 made headlines and caught the attention of Rob Dixon, who ran a charity at the local pool.
It's Islamorada Statue of Liberty. To put it bluntly, it would be a totally different community if that were not there.
The next year, they organized an even bigger swim around the lighthouse, hoping the U.S. government would notice and make some repairs. But still, in 2014, the light went out. Despite their efforts, modern advances in navigation, like GPS, had made the lighthouse obsolete. There would be no repairs. In fact, the Coast Guard determined it no longer needed an active lighthouse there at all.
And it was just a sad moment for everyone in town to, everyone said, the light's out, because we've seen it all our life.
There was one glimmer of hope. A federal law called the National Historic Lighthouse Preservation Act.
It is strictly for the Coast Guard to dispose of their lights that they no longer have a need for, but they still see is integral to the history of the United States.
Ellen Rankin, a historian with the National Park Service, helps manage the program. She explained the government could transfer ownership of the lighthouse, but there's a catch.
You're not going to give this away to somebody who's going to put a sports bar in there.
Correct.
You want this to be someone who's going to take care of it for the greater public good.
Correct. That's exactly the purpose of this program.
I said, maybe we should try to get it.
So for months, they worked on their application, making their case to be the new keepers of the lighthouse.
There was no guarantee that you were going to get it.
No, and it seemed like a real long shot at the beginning. And as we got closer to submitting this application, it started to seem like a real thing that could happen. So like, well, who's better than us? Nobody. We're the home team.
The U.S. government agreed. In December, the deed for Alligator Lighthouse was officially signed over to its new owners.
To me, that is the greatest honor.
Yeah. So this is the next chapter in its history.
This is it.
It will be a monumental task. Stabilizing and restoring it could take years and millions of dollars.
I've never done this before, but somebody had to do it. I said, somebody has to take this ball and run with it and get it over the goal line. And with Larry's enthusiasm and our community, I know it's going to be amazing.
He's got a chance to work on a real live lighthouse.
You've gone from the sculptures to the real thing.
Yeah, I think the sculptures are on back burner now.
A little easier, the sculptures, than this guy here.
Yeah, but absolutely not as satisfying as this will be.
Its lantern may have been extinguished, but Alligator Light's future is looking brighter already. For CBS Mornings, Manuel Bojorquez, Islamorada, Florida.
I love this because lighthouses are symbols of direction, purpose, and of course, spreading light to those in the dark.
Yeah, and Larry's family is buried there. His enthusiasm is what made this happen.
Yep, that's right.
Lighthouse is very sentimental for a lot of people.
That's right.
Nicely done, guys.
So there's Lighthouse Larry, and that's what the stairs look like now going up. See, I went up first so I wouldn't get rained on by the rust. Chose wisely. That's my foot. That's all I need.
You want to patch Larry in now?
Yeah, let's patch him in because he hasn't had a chance to talk and he's always got a lot to say. So I don't know where his voice is going to come from, but he's up in St. Augustine. He built a place up there, but his heart, I know a big part of his heart is still here in Islamorada and on that lighthouse, and I thought about taking him out there and burying him before he passed away. I wouldn't do that. Spent a lot of time together with this project and plan on a lot more. Are you with us yet, Larry?
Oh, there we are. Yeah.
There we go. Got to get your volume up here somehow.
Can you hear?
Where's my technical assistant? Here she comes.
Not everyone on Zoom can hear him. It's just getting in here and the problem. And I think this should solve it. How you doing, Larry?
Good. Can you hear me?
That's best we get. That's good.
Okay.
Okay. Can you say hi to the crowd, Larry?
Hello, everybody.
Hey, Larry. They're all looking at you, and you've been listening in since the beginning, and I've been doing all the talking, and I love you like a brother, and I want you to be a part of this as well. So maybe we can hang on. Is you working on volume there?
Okay. Yeah, Alligator, obviously a major part of our maritime history. Some people don't know it was named after the USS Alligator, which was launched in Boston Harbor on November 2nd, 1820. And, it went for the first year twice to the west coast of Africa, and its mission was to stop slave ships from coming to the Americas. So it on November 19th, 2021 is when it ran aground, which, by the way, yesterday made it 203 years ago. It ran aground where the lighthouse sits today. That's where the name Alligator came from. So, the history of it is just unbelievable. How many years it saved lives, it saved commerce. It's just such a intricate part of our community, and it's a national treasure that we all need to really step up and save it. And I tell you, Rob is without a doubt the reason we have it. It's amazing. I can't tell you how I appreciate Rob every day. Any questions?
Yes, we can hear you. Okay, so I'm going to repeat the question. The question was, were the ballast stones that were found near Alligator Reef Lighthouse part of the USS Alligator?
I don't believe so. I know the NOAA, they're pretty secretive on letting any type of information about the USS Alligator out. So that's really an unknown. There was talk years ago that there were some timbers that they believed were to the inside of Alligator. But yeah, they're pretty tight-lipped about anything like that. There's many around that area ballast piles from other ships. So that really, I couldn't give you a honest answer on that.
That's the first time you said you didn't know something. I hope you guys, we recorded that for quality. Awesome. He's not sure. Yeah, he's pretty sure. No, he knows a lot. How many steps are in the lighthouse?
135.
Yeah, he knows. He's like the lighthouse rain man.
I'm the rain man.
Up to 4 o'clock. So yeah, without Larry's enthusiasm, none of this would have happened. And now we're working our way forward. We have a great committee and a board, and we're like I said, there's not handbooks on how to restore a lighthouse, so we're figuring it out as we go. We have a great engineering company, which I'm going to show you a couple pictures of. So maybe we can get rid of Larry's face, which is great to look at. You're looking good there, man. Love the way you look.
Lucky cow.
That's right. Yeah, see that. Change the cows. Okay. So yeah, that's our steps on the way up, and they've gotten worse since, because there's a door at the top that's gotten dislodged. I think we know where it is on the bottom, but we're in the process of getting that and seeing if we can restore that and use the original piece that was in there for a long time. We do, I guess some of you have seen it lit up now, and that was 2 Christmases ago. We thought, well, let's try and light it up and make something with we talked to Wood Campbell, who's a great guy, and he lights up big stages and stuff. And he came up with a pretty hefty price tag, which we said, we can't spend that kind of donor money right now. We're just in our starting phases here. So we're getting ready to go to sleep. My fiance said, what about these, babe? And they're $198 solar floodlights on Amazon, and we got 6 of them, and it's been lit up for 2 years. It charges all day and lights up. And we got 2 pieces of green sticky film to put on some green lights and red lights, and we made it Christmassy. And I think we had 75 boats out there, and should have had a long handle net going around for donations, but it all happened the last second. We got a nice night, and a bunch of us went out there, and so we're looking to.
So Rob, you just light that up on Christmas?
It lights up every night. So if you drive down there, it's lit up right now. It should be, unless it's super cloudy or rainy all day. But those panels, there's 2 panels, and then we didn't have one in the top, and we thought, Andy Newman mentioned, it looks like it's cut off at night. You don't see the top of it. So we thought we bought another one and got an extension cord so it could charge outside, but inside it lights up the lantern room, which is pretty.
And what color are the lights now?
Well, they're pretty white unless you got out there and got close. I had some pictures which aren't in this presentation that kind of show the green and red that we had. That we had to replace one. I don't know. They put a piece of red film, but it's still got some color to it. But if you're ever out there on a calm night, I've got some amazing pictures. I can show you after we're done. They're just stunning. We did some great shots of it, and I think some of them made the New York Post, which was just went everywhere. It was amazing. So that's what it looks like inside. That was a little rougher than most people believe it might be, but it certainly needs some PLC. This is when we did the engineering study 2 years ago, and WJE, which is their engineering firm, they top to bottom and gave us a 100-page report that basically says you need to do this, this, and this. So our goal is to restore it historically. We'd like it to be functional yet historical. So we could fix this. It's hard to vision it now, but fix this up as a livable structure where we could have maybe high-end donors get a few nights. We could have schools could possibly use it for studies on sea level or salinity or corals, or could use it for astronomy. It's so beautiful out there at night. If you've ever been out there, it's get rid of all the unnatural light here on shore. It's just a stunning place to see stars on a clear night. It's really special.
So that flooring, is that steel, is that iron?
I believe that's all cat. And Larry he's muted now, but that's cast iron, I believe. This is us Larry drilling through with one of our engineers because we had to couldn't find out whether the legs were hollow or solid. And after we got so far in, he said, "Bring me a longer bit." Somebody ran us another long bit out, and they kept going and going. And those legs are solid, so we feel that part of it is pretty good, which is important. So it's well anchored, and the legs are doing well. And even below the surface, it looks rough with the corals and stuff, but that's probably the most protected area because it hasn't got oxidation. The air hasn't hit it. But a lot of these areas, the plates that you see underneath that are the decking for the top keeper's quarters level, some of those have rust jacking, which is a new term I heard about. It's like carjacking, rust jacking. So rust forms and these plates actually lift up, which is pretty crazy stuff. So there's going to have to be quite a bit of work done out there. Here's our us installing the zincs. There's Mike and Mike Walsh and his crew from the other side. We took the boat out and they just walked those. They're 75 pounds for each side, a little lighter on the water, obviously, but 150 pounds per zinc, and there's one on each leg. And if you go out there, you can see that there's in the back of the truck there, but they run a wire from the zinc up to the house, drill it into the leg. And if you go out there and snorkel, you'll see that they are deteriorating, which means that's protecting the lighthouse, same as a boat zinc. So on a much bigger scale. So. Well, this is just us moving down the line and making it. Let me see. Okay, so this is our last video.
Just 4 miles off the coast of Islamorada, Alligator Lighthouse rises proudly from the turquoise waters as a beacon of safety and a timeless symbol of the Florida Keys' rich maritime history. But today, this iconic landmark is at a critical crossroads. After decades of battling relentless salt, wind, and storms of the Florida Keys, the Alligator Lighthouse is in serious danger of being lost forever. Folks, this isn't just a structure. Preserving Alligator Lighthouse means preserving a vital chapter of our history. It represents a time when these waters were some of the most dangerous in the world for mariners. It's been here through generations of change in our community, standing tall as a symbol of endurance and resilience, just like the locals of the Keys. But friends, more than that, Alligator Lighthouse is a symbol of Islamorada itself. It's a beloved icon that represents the spirit of this community. Businesses, municipalities, and artists alike use its likeness as a proud emblem of Islamorada's unique identity. Its image can be seen on logos, murals, photographs, t-shirts, and artwork throughout Islamorada. It serves as a constant reminder of the rich history and beauty that define our island home. Losing this lighthouse would mean losing a piece of who we are. Friends, without your help, this history, this symbol, may soon be lost. Immediate restoration is needed to save the lighthouse from further damage, and that's why we're appealing for your support. Donations raised go directly to securing the necessary permits and starting the first stage of restoration, which is repairing the landing platform. This step is crucial because it will provide access for vessels to bring in needed materials to begin the full restoration process. So this is your opportunity to be a part of something truly meaningful. Your generosity will not only preserve a treasured piece of history, but it will also ensure that the beauty and significance of Alligator Lighthouse will be experienced by generations to come. Friends, we're actually asking for more than a donation. We're asking for an investment in the future. Imagine a future where the lighthouse continues to shine over these waters, where its legacy lives on in the hearts of the community, our businesses, our artists. Folks, you can make that a reality with your support. So please join us in saving Alligator Lighthouse. Together, we can keep this beacon shining bright, honoring our past, preserving our identity, and lighting the way to future generations. Thank you in advance for your help in saving Alligator Lighthouse.
Anyway, let me do that one. Okay, that's it. Okay, so that's anyway. We are in the fundraising stage, as I told you earlier. We do have plans being drawn by WJE up in Chicago. They're a very highly respected and highly recommended by the National Park Service. They've done some work on a lot of work on many lighthouses. So we feel we're with the right team, and everybody said that. But their work is just beginning. They did the engineering study. Now they're starting on these plans, which we expect to take about 6 weeks. And then we have to get through permitting. We've got a volunteer who owns a permitting company in Marathon, and he's willing to help us try to get through NOAA. We also have to probably go through Army Corps for some of these permits, and the Department of Environmental Protection. So there's some layers. We may do a few things that require a little bit less permitting. I don't know how long we think that they would kind of expedite these kind of projects that are time sensitive with the damage that's happening daily out there, just deterioration. But we're hoping that they can permit us very quickly, working with a local Upper Keys Marine. We'd like to keep the work local if possible, to keep the money here, keep the business here. I think that they can do most of what we need. So we've been in talks with them. Also on that video, I don't know if you noticed that we're not going to deck out. Everything was decked with wood, and we're not allowed to do that because of the coral underneath. So that's all going to be, they messed that up in the video, but that's all going to be grading. So we have to worry about everything that's under the water as well, getting the sun and the things that it needs to survive. So it's such an incredible area and such an incredible project. And I really appreciate everyone coming and listening to what I have to say, because I think it is, as Larry gets choked up about, it's important to all of us. I mean, it's who we are. What Richie just said, it's a big part of our identity, and said it's our Statue of Liberty. So any questions? I don't want to keep everybody here all night, but I really appreciate you making it. Go ahead.
How much money are you trying to raise, and where are you at?
So $6 million is the price tag that WJE came up with the engineering study. And it could be a little more, could be a little less, but that's what they are kind of guesstimating. We've raised at this point about $500,000. We also have promise from the Tourist Development Council. Over the last few years, we've applied for any money that we have that's in the account that's not like a restricted grant. We can get matched by the Tourist Development Council. We've been each of these rounds of funding, we've been voted the highest project, the most fund-worthy project. There's usually about 12 people asking for the money. They usually have, I think last year our DAC had 1.2 million to give, and so it's a matching funds. So what we have to do, and we haven't been able to really get the ball rolling because we didn't want to have 100,000 or 150,000, and then you get the work started and you stop. We'd like to have a little cushion. So now we're at about 400,000 or 500,000 in the account. So what we do is spend that money, send a paid invoice to the TDC. They reimburse us the money. Then that money's sitting in the account. We can use that money, then again, ask for money for the following year. So it's going to be a back and forth, but we just wanted to get all the pieces in place before you got to start and stop. So it's going to be a bit of a juggling act financing, but we're still looking for anybody that can help us fundraise. If you know anybody that loves lighthouses, savealligatorlighthouse.org is our website. So if you'd like to go on there, peruse around, there's someone who watch Lighthouse Larry's video all day long. If you'd like to cry and no, that's cry. That's not sadness. That's passion. So love you, Larry. So beyond that, like any help we can get, I think it's going to take everyone in this community to pull this project off. I think before it's all over, everybody's going to have a hand in it. We keep hearing from people that want to help in this respect in that respect. And I'm putting a list together because they're going to be needed at some point, or somebody knows somebody. And so it's all about connections. It's all about our little community here. And I think we have the heart, and if there's enough finances here to kind of help us get through this. So I said, I'm a fisherman. What do I know? I'm figuring it out as we go. There's not a handbook. We just kind of, somebody had to do it, and it's going to take all of us. So thank you guys for any support you can provide. You can reach out to someone, say, hey, this is a pretty fundable project. Maybe you can help out. Anybody knows of any grants that we've applied for several grants and done well with those, but trying to get in with the state. My friend runs the one of the agencies, one of the law enforcement agencies, and trying to get connected with some of Governor DeSantis's people. There's plenty. This is like a $1.50 to the government budget, so it's not like when you look at it in perspective. So I think if we can get the state on board, I think that would be a big help. So we're pushing that way as well. So there's money out there for you. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I have two questions. One is the budget that you're talking about. Does that include the original lights on top?
That's a good question, because it's a Fresnel lens. Larry knows a lot about these Fresnel lenses, but I don't want to bother George again. Sorry, Larry. Anyway, those lenses now, Larry, I believe, said that it would be north of $1 million to $1.5 million. It's a fine cut Fresnel lens. I don't know what they cost back in the old days, but the whole lighthouse was built for $185,000 back then. So now that lens would be probably $1 million to $2 million. But the guys that helped us with the Zincs, who came from Yulee, Florida, oh yeah, they look at the parts. They say, oh yeah, we made those. These guys have made parts for the Statue of Liberty when they refurbished the Statue of Liberty. So they're very legit. But he said he knows a company that will make an acrylic lens that we could put up there for much, much less. And we've reached out to the Coast Guard regarding a courtesy lighting. So when it's all said and done, it might be a few years down the road. We want to get a courtesy lighting and light it up again so that it looks just like it did back, for 150 years. So, yes, Kenny.
Isn't it amazing, Rob? I forget what it is. How many main pipe structures are there? 6?
Why don't we put Larry in here, because he's built that lighthouse. He's had to cut those and weld those and paint those. And I think there's a point where I could just shut up and Lighthouse Larry could carry the ball from here over the goal line.
I don't know how many inches in diameter each one of those pipes are, and it's solid pipe, you said.
And what always blows my mind is, like, how did these guys know how to build something that was going to sit out in the middle of the ocean, or not the middle of the ocean, for 151 years and still stand for long? Obviously, it's rusty and needs some work. But what did they have back then? They didn't have computers or phones or cars. And when they drew this thing in 1870, it's pretty amazing. Like
Didn't they build a lot of their Rob on Indian Key? The structure was built on Indian Key.
I think that's where they staged it from.
Okay, Larry, people should be able to hear you now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was only staged on Indian Key. It was built, I believe, in North Carolina in a port. But those are solid iron piling, which are 12-inch diameter. And they actually are average about 15 to 20 feet down into the coral.
And you could tell them how they was a steam, like a pile. What do they call that system, Larry? Screw pile?
Yeah, they're screw pile. That's why if you're snorkeling under Alligator, you'll see these. They look like big 10-foot wide wagon wheels. Those were put down first, and then they would screw. They made a platform, and the guys would walk and turn the screw, and it would go down to refusal. It averaged around, I believe it was 12 to 18 feet before refusal, before they wouldn't go any further. But that is iron, and it being iron is why it's lasted 151 years.
Thank you, Larry. Any other questions? We can leave Larry on, I guess. So if there's anybody who's got, if I just want to say hi, Larry. I'm sorry, you had 2 questions.
Yes. How about the other 5 lighthouses around?
So we were the only one that got there were other applications for what we got to be given the lighthouse. Beyond that, if no one else was deemed worthy, and we figured one lighthouse was enough, we're not going to try and save them all. We'd love to. Larry, if he wins the lottery, he said it, he's going to show them a lot of love. So go get some lottery tickets before 11. But they were all bid on at auction. Was it last year, Larry, or a year and a half ago?
Yeah, a year and a half ago.
And so private entities bought them. It doesn't mean that they can do anything they want. So anything, they can't just put like you said, a big bar out there or something. It's still, you could make a structure where people could go out and live and spend a night or two. And but
even though they bid on them, they still have to basically fill out the same application that we did and be approved.
Yeah, you got a lighthouse, but you can't just do anything you want out there. So.
Right.
Can't just build a sports bar.
No, no, not at all. There's plenty of sports bars around. We don't need another one.
I did have a question over Zoom from Tom. He asked, how many people do the Alligator Lighthouse swim?
Is that Tom Strobel?
Yes, it is.
Hey, Tom. So I forgot he and Sue are going to be on. He's a great friend of ours, and he helped us get the swim started, working with safety. So hi, Tom and Sue. They're in Colorado. Tom, they moved out there quite a while ago, maybe 7 years, but we miss them. And Tom has been a big part of the swim. Worked with the fire department in here for years and years. What was the question again? I forgot to say hi to Tom.
He said, he asked how many people do the swim every year, how did it grow over the years, and how fast it sell out nowadays?
We actually are about 350 swimmers for the lighthouse, and as I said, they come from near and far, but most of them are probably 70 are Floridians, and the rest probably 350 is a total. The rest are from other states, other countries, and like I said, it's a good way to still bring awareness to the lighthouse. And I'm still doing it every year, and Larry's not, Tom. So just so you know, well, Larry he got a doctor's note. My kayaker, and the lighthouse brings a lot of people, a lot of comfort, and it's brought us closer together as friends, and to have and I think it's something that can bring our community together. And like I said, these divided times of the election, this and that, I don't want to hear it anymore. Just let's all focus on something powerful and beautiful and positive. So we've got that right offshore, 4 miles. Yes, sir.
When you relight the lighthouse, aren't the environmentalists going to cry about the turtles?
About the
turtles?
We're not looking to change anything under the lighthouse. We're going to have to capture anything that's like blasted or they used to throw, as you've been out there snorkeling, the old parts you just toss them overboard. So there's braces and things, but that stuff we're going to be under pretty strict code that everything has to be contained. There'll be a lot of containment as they did on
I was in reference light.
So he's saying that the light can disturb sea turtle activity.
Yeah, I don't
disturb their nesting, right?
I don't know 4 miles out if it's flashing I don't know that it would. I can check on that, but I don't see it creating.
I'm just curious if that's going to be a hurdle you guys got to jump to try to relight it.
It could be, but the Coast Guard said we're okay, and I don't know that it would have any direct or any kind of impact on nesting turtles.
I do think that the issue is primarily due to nesting.
Reason is that the red lights are on the shore, and you don't want the babies going inland.
Right.
So if you have one out in the water, I don't see where there would be a terrible problem. One out here.
Right.
I think Larry was trying to input something as well.
Go ahead, Larry.
Yeah, I think the light issue is primarily on shore for nesting turtles, especially they get confused and head towards the light, which offshore, I truly don't think that's an issue in any way.
Right. That could be how like they go for the moon, I guess, is because they hatch late.
Right.
So it could be, maybe we'll be helping the turtles. Maybe the Turtle Conservancy wants to give us a big donation. Pro turtle.
So I do think the issue with the nesting turtles is that when the babies hatch, they head towards light, which is why lights on the shore are an issue because they hatch on the shore and then they head inland instead of out to the water. So if alligator light is shining 4 miles out at sea and they do think it's the moon, they'll head towards the water, which is where they're supposed to go.
Yeah.
So the turtle people should.
They should pony up.
Yeah.
Let's go. Their money's as good as anybody else's.
Yeah, more money.
Shell it out. Get it? I'll be here all week. Anybody else? Any other questions?
Is there any mooring balls out there?
I know there were quite a few, and I think they got destroyed. Something happened, and I don't know what the letter. Do you know what the status is of installing more mooring buoys? I know they're talking about making it a no anchor. So they would need a fair amount. I don't know if that's ever going to come to be, but if it does, I don't know. They're going to have some major enforcement out there because you know how many. Most people drop it in the sand and do what they're supposed to do, but then there's, it doesn't take too many people to do the wrong thing to cause issues with the corals and stuff that are around. And, so we're hoping they come up with a happy medium where, at least if they put mooring balls out there, it's enough for people that want to be out there. And while we can't go out there, we're not going to be able to get on a ball and then you can't enjoy. So that's a good question. And I don't really know. Need to find out because we're connected with Noah and that, and they should be able to give me. And Brenda Altmeyer is a friend of ours, and I think she can give us an update on where that stands. And it's a good question. I'll look into it tomorrow and find out. Because I need to reach out to her anyway. All right. Okay. One more question back here. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
The swimmers,
Mhm.
are they sponsored in any way? Is there some way that if they had sponsors for the swimmers, the money could go towards the lighthouse so that, you expand?
We talked about that. So
Repeat the question.
So yeah, I don't know if you could hear Larry. The lady was asking about if the swimmers were for the lighthouse swim were could raise some money like with sponsorship, and we've talked about that, right?
Yes.
Years. So have Fred
definitely talked about that.
Kind of maybe a little more expensive but you also get maybe this dinner, maybe for the lighthouse lover. They all love lighthouses, but these guys, you could pay $1,000 to do a sponsor swim, you raise some money, and then that money goes to the lighthouse. So we just.
They belong to a hospital. The hospital it's an advertisement for the hospital.
Correct.
Sponsor these. There's a lot of way of making
these people. It's pretty expensive for a lot of them to get here. I mean, they, like I say, if you're coming from California or New Jersey, one guy brings 50 people from New Jersey. Brian Shea, he was one of our biggest advocates. He brings 15 swimmer friends and wives, kids, families, and he comes down every single year and takes the message back and gets the whole community involved. So if there was a sponsorship level, there's the people, the swimming the race is the small part of the equation. You got to get a hotel, airfare, car. So you might spend a couple hundred, $200-300 on a race, but then it's another $1,500 for
their personal sacrifice.
Right. But
they can swim for it.
Right. Yeah, give me $100 a mile or $10 a mile or whatever. Yeah. So there's
just something to me that says money talks more than swim.
We've talked about that, and thank you for reminding me because I think we just had a meeting before I walked in here. I had a Zoom meeting with our.
My ears open.
Yeah.
I would love to join that.
Yeah, I want to figure out how to structure that so that it is. And I know some friends at Mariners that might help. Do that at the hospital. We can do some things like that with the hospital network. So. All right.
Okay, so I do want to thank you, Rob, for coming in and doing our presentation tonight. Really enjoyable.
I just talked. You did all the work.
Well, thank you for doing your presentation. And as a gift for doing our November Immerse Yourself, this is a year-long membership to the museum. So you can visit us 362 days a year that we are open, as well as a t-shirt. So thank you again.
Wow. Thank you. Can I do it again next week?
Well, it's once a month, but we are. But thank you again for watching on Zoom, and thank you for everyone that's coming in.
People.
And
we'll
see you next month.
Thank you all.
Thank you, guys. Bye, Tom. Bye, Sue. Everybody else sit